to Dr. Pillai's Millionaire Yoga Talk Show. Now, to help you keep track as Dr. Pillai goes through the 6 key principles of the Millionaire Yoga process, I'm just going to put that on the whiteboard now. So during part 1, Dr. Pillai covered step 1 and 2. Step 1 is activate your money neurology centers. And here he particularly highlighted the midbrain and the pineal gland. And then in 2, he talked about how to reset your money frequency. And he gave a beautiful experience of that using the sound stream. Now in part 2, Dr. Pillai is going to move on to the next 2 principles in the Millionaire Yoga process. The third step is to cleanse the negative cortex. And Dr. Pillai demonstrated where the cortex is on his brain model there. And step 4, explore the power of goal setting. Okay. So Dr. Pillai, welcome back. We look forward to your next teachings.
I'm going to talk about cleansing the negative cortex. I just want to refresh your memory of what I have said in the previous session. So we are talking in terms of the millionaire's brain versus the poor man's brain. So what's the millionaire's brain? It's the midbrain. Of course, he uses the neocortex too. But primarily, it is the midbrain, which is timeless, spaceless, can do everything. So what a precise way we can define these things. And what is the poor man's brain? The chunk of the brain, okay, which is caught up in logic, caught up in identity. Okay, particularly if we go to, let me get the brain again here. This is the frontal lobe. The frontal lobe is the problem. This gives you identity. Also, the parietal lobe is also involved in that. Although parietal lobe can do a lot more job than the frontal lobe. The frontal, not that I'm putting down that, but it is where you are caught up in logic in your own identity. I'm a poor man. That's where all the problem starts. And then you are not able to get out of that identity. So you have to get over that. You have no identity. If at all you want to have an identity, I would rather have you to have an identity of somewhere here. This is the cerebellum, the lower cerebellum, which is the God brain, or some parts here on the temporal lobe. So all these things I will teach you in advanced courses. So we can precisely now, with the help of modern science, describe what the yogis have figured out through their intuition. They were talking in terms of in religious spiritual language, but now we are more precise because we have the science developed to that level. So again, what's a millionaire's brain? The midbrain. What's the poor man's brain? The cortex. So now, having said that, Now, both the poor man and the millionaire have the same brain, but then the activation is what matters. And he has activated this midbrain area and has become, in tune with all possibilities. And with the rest of the people, the 99% of the people, they are caught up in their logic, and they are not able to get out of that. And that is what the problem is, And I remember one example from Oprah Winfrey. And she is a multimillionaire, you know that. She's one of the very few multimillionaires in Hollywood industry, in the entertainment industry. Apart from Steven Spielberg, there was one other person. And I was watching a few years ago, Larry King was trying to get Oprah on his show, but he had to wait for a long time to get Oprah on. But finally he got Oprah on. She still would not come to the studio, would stay wherever she was, and she was happy with that. And Oprah was sharing her poverty brain, although became a billionaire. Okay. And she was telling, look, I'm a billionaire now. But still, when I stay in a 5-star hotel, and then I want to call someone, long distance, I call that person and then, can you call me back? Because I don't want to spend money, because the 5-star hotels charge a lot of money for calls. So this is how the mind is, Although you have billions of dollars which you cannot spend in your lifetime, but still you are worried about a little money that you pay to the telephone on staying in a hotel. And this happens to everybody. And with the people who have no money or very little money, it's even worse. So what can you do? Okay. And behavioral transformation and then affirmations, they are all okay. But we have to do something deep down at the fundamental level, at the root level. Okay, there is a proverb, water the roots to enjoy the fruit. You have to go to the root. It's no good going and watering the stem, the flowers, the leaves. It's not useful. So all of the techniques are like watering the stem and the bark and the leaves and flowers, and they are not going to be useful. What are the roots? Our roots are here. Our roots are in the brain. And that's what we need to change. And once we change it, then there is no problem. Then we can get rid of all that identity. That's why man has been symbolized as a tree upside down. The roots are here. And if you take care of this, you have taken care of everything. Everything. Of late, not of late, but for quite some time, I have been working on a project called Stupid Thoughts Inhibitors. As soon as a stupid thought comes, there will be an alarm that will go. Then you will stop the stupid thought. Okay? And I know that I will soon have an application. I think we are working on that application now. It will be an app. It's all the stupid thought. The poverty thought is a stupid thought. Just as I said in the previous session, that this waitress comes to me and money is not everything. Doesn't she need money? She needs more money, more than anybody else. I asked her, don't you want to send your children to a good school and want to have a good car and good life? Then why are you asking this question? Money is not everything. Certainly money is not everything. Nothing is everything. But then it can take care of a lot of things that you need. Now I just gave you an example of how the brain of the children coming from poor family are severely handicapped. So money has a direct link to the brain. So go to the brain and change the brain. I have been looking at so many models of how we can activate different parts of the brain. There are so many gadgets available in the market. There is one called God helmet. Okay. You can go and put electrodes in different parts of the brain and then activate them. It's not been, a lot of these gadgets are not approved by the FDA because brain is a very sensitive organ, so we cannot play with it too much until we know what we are doing. But it's a good idea, it's a good thought. I'm sure that down the road we will be able to activate the midbrain, get children from the slums, because Moini is in charge of taking care of the children and then giving them good education in India and then the rest of the world as well, but mostly in India. Those children, we are trying to activate their brain through our phonemic intelligence program, because that is very vital. So if you remain negative here, what are you going to do? If you remain here, you cannot do it. I gave the example of Oprah Winfrey. See, although she became a billionaire, the old thoughts come and then they reinforce on you, and then said, no, I don't want to spend my money. So the negative mind, the negative brain should stop thinking negative thoughts. That's very, very important. And negative identity. Your identity is not your name, not your job. As long as you have your identity, you are not going to go anywhere. Look at Brunson, Richard Brunson. I'm now developing some program called Brunson's Yoga. He is a high school dropout. High school dropout, has now 165 companies. And how did he do that? It's because he didn't have an identity. I'm a high school dropout. I don't have any money to invest in any business. I don't have any skill sets. I don't have this, I don't have that. That idea comes from here in the frontal lobe area, and the rest of the cortex are also responsible for that. So you have to get rid of this identity. You can have any identity that you want. So I'm talking only in terms of philosophy when I say identity, but when I talk in terms of the frontal lobe, and that's what is really profitable. Okay. In the Bible, in the last chapter on Revelations, the world is going to be destroyed, and then there is an angel that comes and tells the rest of the angels, hey, don't destroy the world until I am going to seal the forehead of these people. And after that, everything will be. What is sealing of the forehead mean? That is the frontal lobe. Transforming the frontal lobe. There is no other explanation that I can think of for this biblical passage. But within India, there's a lot of literature on the frontal lobe, because you have seen Indian swamis wearing vibhuti. Sometimes you may have even seen some of my old YouTube videos. When I was Dattatreya Shiva Baba, I would have some sacred ash on my forehead. Okay, that is blocking or transforming the frontal lobe. There's another sect, they would have another mark on this. So this is where the problem is. the identity has to be transformed, and then we have to get a different identity. And in this case, a millionaire identity. I'm very proud that we are able to live in this age where we can really give an opportunity for everyone to change their identity from a poor man's identity to a millionaire identity. We have to do this. Why? Because we got to see our children at least, grow and then develop their brain so that it doesn't also affect their education. It is affecting their education because it's affecting their brain. It's not a matter of nutrition. I mean, nutrition has a factor in it, definitely, but it is beyond nutrition. It is a matter of activating the different parts of the brain. So cleansing the negative cortex. We have to cleanse the negative cortex of all identity and then put the identity of a millionaire. How to cleanse this area? That's what we are going to do now. Okay, I'm going to give you a simple technique, a meditation for that. It has a philosophy that will take me a few hours to explain, so I'm not going to do that. But I will give you just like a pill. All the things that I give you it's just like a pill, because I don't want to take a lot of time to explain that, and then this is not an academic group, but it is something like if you have a headache, you give aspirin, and then nobody need to know about the pharmacology aspirin. You just take the aspirin and then your headache is gone. That's how it is. So this is just like a pill for stopping the negative cortex and getting you beyond an unlimited identity. Now we will do the technique. Close your eyes. Now focus attention on your brain. You can just focus on your forehead, that's pretty easy to do. And then if you move upwards again, you can go to the parietal lobe. That gives you a spatial orientation, where you are sitting, where are you, and also partly your identity too. And then there is the occipital lobe, that's involved with your vision. And on the sides, just above the ears, are the temporal lobes. You can focus on all that and then go back to the third eye, through which we can enter the pineal gland. And as I said, the pineal gland can give you access to a timeless zone where you can change dimensions. Now here is the technique. Now we are just focusing attention on different parts of the cortex. Now focus attention on the midbrain too. Just imagine the midbrain. Now fill the entire brain with the energy of the sky in order to help you with the visualization. Just see your whole brain filled with a blue sky. There are no clouds. A blue sky. Ethereal in nature, no substance, but filled with the sky. This is going to cleanse your negativity in the different cortexes and the rest of the brain as well. Imagine the blue sky occupying the entire brain. It will accelerate your time. Then you will not be waiting forever because you are filling yourself, the brain, with space vibrations. Then you will understand my teaching that waiting is a waste of time. Ordinarily, the rest of the brain is saying waiting is proper and we have to wait. But it is a waste of time. Filling the sky, filling the brain with the sky will change it. It will give you unlimited consciousness called Chit, Chitakasha in Sanskrit, and from which your limited mind comes into being, Chitta. One is Chit, the sky. The sky is the limit. It's a book by Wayne Dyer, to whom I gave the hour meditation. And he developed this book, Manifest Your Destiny, based on that. You can manifest your destiny. That is the truth. And how do you do it? By changing the brain. You're filling your brain with the energy of the sky, the blue sky. The frontal, the parietal, the occipital, the temporal lobes, which is the neocortex area. And also go inside and fill the brain with this energy. You are delimiting yourself. You have not the old identity, I am John the carpenter. Who said that? You are reinforcing that identity. That identity should be gone. As more and more space energy, sky energy is penetrating into every neuron of your brain, the identity is gone. That's how you cleanse the negative cortex. This is what has to be taught in schools. Within a few minutes you can change tremendous amount of change within the neurons. The neurons reorient themselves with this new energy, which is unlimited. So instead of asking the question, how can I change my negative attitudes, and then try to read many books and waste time on seminars and workshops, just save that money, sit down in your apartment or house, and fill your cortex and the midbrain and every part of the brain with a space energy. This is yogic technology. And this is how I want to make the 99% of the people to go and occupy the Wall Street. Not through legislation, not through any other means, because there is no other way we can change the finances of people. And this doesn't cost any money. I'm giving it out for free. This is God's gift. All that you need is the training. That's why we have the training program. Because otherwise, when you go out of this session, you will go and do whatever you have been doing. So that is very important. To discipline yourself, that's why the coaching program is important. Otherwise, it will automatically go into the negative mode. It needs training. Now, relax. Slowly, slowly open your eyes. I just was reading a book. The title of the book is called Blame It on the Brain. And I thought that was going to be a good book, but it wasn't. But the title was great. So if you have negative thoughts, you have to blame it on the brain. We need to blame it on someone, and then it's better to blame it on the brain. And it's not enough to blame it on the brain, but you can change the brain. And this is another book that I wanted to share with you, Teaching with the Poverty Mind. I strongly recommend this book. And this will make people to really become responsible. If you are poor, it's going to affect your children, your children's brain. And who has to take responsibility? You have to take responsibility. This is hardcore science. And this guy is involved in developing curriculums for the schools. And he is getting recognition all over the world. The poverty brain comes from the poverty dad. There's a book called, which became famous, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. The poor dad puts down the children, saying that, no, you cannot do anything. He doesn't encourage you. The rich dad says, okay, go ahead and do it. So you have a responsibility to change your brain and also help your kids to change their brain. He has another book, his name is Eric Jensen. And I like the brain in mind, teaching the brain in mind. Okay? It is the brain that gives rise to the mind. And you have to go and look at the brain. It's more precise. Now there are books who have come out, you can go even further and look at the chemicals in the brain. That causes poverty. I want to fund research. When I go back to India, I'm then going to do that. What is the chemical that creates poverty, neurochemical? Like melatonin, we know melatonin, everybody knows. What does it do? It makes you to go to sleep. So we can identify that, and then we will be able to do a lot better. Did the Siddhas know about that? Did the yogic masters? Yeah, they know. There are herbs that we can take. And the herbs can give you more brain powers, can change the brain. So these are the things that can help us to accomplish our financial goal. Unless the world becomes prosperous, we are never going to create heaven on earth. If everybody is suffering and then in a rat race to go and make money and nobody is happy, no political ideology is going to help. Communism failed. To try to equalize everybody is not going to work. Capitalism has failed. Every ideology has failed. So the only ideology is that is the one that is based on developing our brain. The next step in my research is going to find the neurotransmitter, the neurochemical that is responsible for poverty. That can go and change the brain. And this is going to happen. I'm not just a dreamer. As I said, my orientation is religion is blind without science. That's why I don't mind moving from a Swami or a guru to a scholar, a scientist. I'm going to spend more and more of my time studying the brain, studying string theory, so that I can be useful to the rest of the world. So, do the sky meditation, and that will cleanse your negative cortex. Now, I'm going to move to the next point, which is explore the goal setting. And especially in America, if you ask somebody, what are you going to do? From, say, after graduating? I don't know. That's the wrong answer. I'll talk about it in a minute. There is somebody wants to ask me a question.
We've got questions coming in, but would you like to finish talking about this next principle? Or shall we take the questions now?
I'll finish this and then we can go to that. So when you ask people, they have two kinds of answers. What are you going to do? I don't know. Or they just come up with something which is very, very mediocre. Nobody wants to come now, I want to become a millionaire, I want to become a prime minister or a president. Or I'm going to apply for a small job in a restaurant. And who is responsible for that? The individual who makes the decision is responsible for that. And why is he making the decision? Blame it on the brain. That's what it is. You have to blame someone. It's better to blame it on the brain. Okay? Blame it on the brain. The brain is stupid. So we have to have a better brain. That's what it is. Then if you have a better brain, that brain won't give you a stupid, mediocre thought. That will give you an idea, well, you go and be a president of the United States. I like Obama a lot because he came from, look at, the father abandoned him and went back to Africa. The mother went to Indonesia. And then he was black, with very mixed identity. I read his book, The Audacity of Hope, The Audacity. He was audacious. Hey, I may be black, I may be the junior most senator, I may not have money like other senators, but I am still the President of the United States. Nobody ever, black ever has become the President of the United States, but he did. So everybody should read his book, The Audacity of Hope. He knew that he was audacious. It's all the brain. If you strengthen the brain, it will do that. So goal setting, that's what I was talking about. You have to set the right goal. If you go set the lowest goal, you'll manifest that. So what is goal? Goal is direction. If you have no goal, you will go nowhere. You will have no direction. This is my equation. No goal equals nowhere equals no direction. If I have to get back to San Diego, to Fallbrook where I live, if I have no direction, I will never get there. So I have to have direction. And that is goal. In life also you have to have a goal. And that goal should be limitless. And how do you do that? Behavioral modification, yes. Reading biographies like Obama's biography, that's good. But still, what is it going to do? When you read Obama or any other person who just came from a very humble background and became the president, what happens is it changes the brain. Reading that changes the brain, the neurons. And then you can go and do meditations on the brain and then also change it. And once you change this brain, then you will have unlimited goal. I like Bill Gates. I have a strong connection with him for his accomplishment. He dropped out of college, as you all know. Most of the people have dropped out of college, like Bill Gates, Larry Ellison, and Steve Jobs, all these guys, maybe when you stick on to college, you don't do good. But they dropped out of college, but then they built empires. And then Steve Jobs said something. I was reading, somebody presented the book to me, the white book. There he writes about India. He had this strong passion to go to India, but he didn't have any money. But he worked somewhere and then collected some money and then went to India. And he went there to see a Baba, Neem Karoli Baba, but by the time he went there, the Baba was dead. So he did not want to leave. So he stayed there. And then he writes in that book that he learned in India what he could not learn in the West. A super intelligence. That became so transformational in his life. Then he later on went to Zen. Now, Bill Gates and goal setting. What is his goal? I want everybody in the world my customer. It's a great goal. Everybody to use my windows. It's a great goal, very simple. But then look at the business you will have. Everybody to be my customer. And he did accomplish that. So if you go wrong in goal setting, and everything is gone. That's the problem. So what you need to do is look at your goal. As I said in the beginning, when you say, I don't know, don't say, I don't know. You better know what you do. Otherwise, it will be a problem. Then there is a book by Bill Gates. It's called Business at the Speed of Thought. That's how fast he wants to move. I have studied all these guys. That's why I'm more equipped to teach these courses. Like Richard Branson. All these people came and asked Richard Branson, hey, how did you develop so many businesses being a high school dropout? What is your philosophy? He said, he's a very controversial guy. You should all read his book, Screw It, Let Us Do It. Okay, it's about 100 pages or less than that. Screw it, let's do it. In that book he says, the secret, you want to know the secret? In my personal life as well as in my business life, every second counts. Every second counts. I don't waste my time. Okay? In my coaching programs and all the programs, I include his books and his philosophy, and I call it as Branson Yoga. It's an yoga, a mental training. That is very, very important. Goal setting is very important. Why are we not able to create good goals and very practical goals? Again, blame it on the brain. Again, blame it on the brain. The brain is not thinking the right thoughts. It's not squaring away things. All that you need to have is just one good idea. And that idea is like, for instance, all I want all the people of the world my customers. Then you will come up with a product like that. Then everybody would want to use that product. Okay. I want to give you a small exercise here. Close your eyes. And this will help you to square away things. Look, I'm very using this word very consciously. Square away. Just imagine a square. That will straighten your goal setting. Don't think this is a simple technique which has no significance. There's tremendous amount of significance. Geometry is everything. That's why Plato said, if you want to realize God or go to a higher state of consciousness, you should have geometry. In his academy, people were not allowed to participate unless they have geometry. So I'm not going to go into this, that's not necessary here. Just imagine a square. A blue square or a red square, each color has its own value. But you can do any square for that matter. Geometry is abstraction. Matter, abstraction, and then the superintelligence. This is the sequence. That's why geometry is very important. It's closer to the primordial energy. You can even draw squares. Even if you sit on a square room, that will change your energy too. That's why feng shui is very important, or vastu in Sanskrit. Now, relax. Because the session is limited, I can only give you some bird's eye view of everything that is possible within this time frame, but you can go and work with these techniques at your own time. Slowly, slowly open your eyes. Think now.
We have people eagerly awaiting to ask you questions by
definitely.
chat. So the first one is from Michael 2. Can pranayama also help reduce negative thoughts?
Yes. I want you to hold until I go to the last technique where I talk about that more, because that's a huge subject, so I want to hold on to it. I'm going to get into it as the last one.
Okay, good. So Michael 1, you're one step ahead. Kat King, can Dr. Pillai talk about manifesting directly without the need for money? Beyond the need for money, just simply manifesting directly?
Oh yeah, definitely. I gave the example of Osho. Osho manifested only Rolls Royces direct. He didn't want to make money and with that money buy Rolls Royces. He never bought any one Rolls Royce. They were all donated to him. Okay, you can just visualize a house and the house will show up in some form. Why do you think that you have to say, for example, you want to buy $1 million home, and then nowadays they want 20% down or 25% down, and in this market. So you have to come up with $250,000. If you are caught up in this, blame it on the brain, okay? It is the brain that is thinking that. Okay, there is. If you just, I will give you when I first came to Los Angeles with Mohini. Remember that we were staying in Pasadena with this house. There were two people living in that house. One guy, it's a multi-million-dollar house, and we were guests both. About 15 years ago.
At least 15 years ago.
15 years ago, and then one guy one tenant who was living in this house said, I have got a job now. I have to go get a house because I am ready for mortgage and everything. But the other guy, who was also a tenant, said, I want this house. And a German lady who owned the house told him, his name was Tom or something, and he said, I'm going back to Germany. Why don't I, sell the house to you? But I know you don't have money. But take care of the house. I'm not coming back because my parents are sick. And then you just rent the house, and with that house you can slowly pay the money back to me. And he got the house. There is only one rule. You become as you think. I'm going to come up with the money for the mortgage and do it. That's the consensus reality. So you don't need it. So to answer the question, can anybody manifest objects directly without money? Yes.
Good. So from oneness mediums, how do we know when the third eye is open?
When your thoughts manifest.
Good.
In reality.
And then from Golden Ball, what is the anti-aging science that the Siddhas used?
They used many techniques. Alchemy is one. Herbs, they used to take herbs, very rare herbs. And then there are meditation techniques that you can use for anti-aging. Now I teach the science, the mantra Arutperum Jyoti, Arutperum Jyoti, Tanipperum Karune, Arutperum Jyoti. That's the mantra that will help anti-aging. And it was proven technique by Swami Ramalingam, who turned his body into light. And the mantra that he used was this Arutperum Jyoti mantra.
So we have another question from Phil Miranda. Dr. Pillai, I've been saying Kleem, and I've found it to manifest money at a minimum of $100 daily for the past 4 months. Should I say Shreem instead or both?
You can use both. You can say Shreem Kleem or Kleem Shreem. Either way is okay.
Okay, I think that's it. Any other questions from the audience? Okay. Thank you, Dr. Pillai. We're always grateful for your teachings. And everyone, Dr. Pillai will be joining us for part 3 of our program coming up soon.